What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Thursday, which means talking Titans as always, and a big conversation about second-year wide receiver Treylon Burks after watching him on the practice field a couple days ago. We diagnosed the quarterback play from the practice field on OTAs on Wednesday, and now shifting our focus to Treylon Burks, who could be and should be a humongous part of this Titans offense and could be a big difference on the ceiling that the Titans could be going after this year if they're pushing for a playoff or if there's a bigger reset going on. And Treylon Burks a big part of where this offense can go. And so we'll play some highlights from his practice on Tuesday. Another comment from Treylon Burks from last week about what this year means for him and how he's learning from some of the things he went through his rookie year. And the number one thing Treylon Burks needs to improve upon this season besides staying healthy, because staying healthy is obviously important for everybody. And then I have a take on Treylon Burks that I got about halfway through practice on Tuesday. And I want to know if you guys are going to buy it or sell it. And so I haven't told Zach what it is. I think I told Sam on Tuesday, but I can't remember. So we're doing a buy or sell on my Treylon Burks take that I came up with mid-practice on Tuesday. And it is Thursday, which means I have the magic bucket right here. And so we're going to have a magic bucket Thursday to wrap up the show. Zach, welcome in. Did you have any power surges yesterday morning or outages that would have knocked you off the show if you were on?
Oh, yeah. I didn't have power from 7 a.m. till noon. So
so
there's
good
no way
decision.
I would have been able to do the show.
Yeah,
I got an email yesterday or the day before saying they may have power surges and then power out starting at 7 a.m. I was working from a hot spot, but I wouldn't have been able to.
The chat was like, "Oh, Zach could only do one day back." I'm like, "No. There's a power problem."
Well, and the other philosophy is Austin and Sam went to practice. They have eyes on the ground. We're trying to give everybody in the chat and the show the best content possible. So that was another reason for that. But back in the saddle again on Thursday, and for shows to come, we got a big show today for Treylon Burks and talking about what he can do in year two. We are broadcasting live on 3 different platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. So we got you covered there. We will tweet out segment by segment those YouTube links on our Twitter at A to Z Sports. Follow us at ATOZ Sports on Twitter. We've got tons of content going out there. It's a great follow on YouTube. Subscribe. And if you've already subscribed, like the show. You got to like the show. It will help the algorithm, get more Titans fans involved, get the chat increased, get more opinions. That's what we want. We want that conversation. How that works is you guys grow the show with us and for us and helping us by subscribing and liking this particular show on Facebook. What's going on, Facebookers? Bottom left corner of your screen, sharing out to public. Sharing is caring and caring is sharing, as we say on this show. So share the show around. We need to pop up in your Facebook friends news feed. More people will be piling in. And as they do, share the show, subscribe, do what you got to do, and let's get this party started on a Thursday.
Yep, let's do it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He's Zach Bingham. Make sure you follow us all over social media as we are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter timeline, and hit us up on Instagram and on TikTok for more Titans coverage. Got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us and they help out all of you, like Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process by seeing them in Lebanon or WilsonCountyHyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans with your coverage rates and service at fbhp.com/ATOZ. The Aura app, keeping you safe online, and download the Aura app and use our link aura.com/ATOZ for a 2-week free trial. And Krebs Kubota, an elite Kubota dealer with 3 locations in Murfreesboro, Franklin, and in Columbia, serving Middle Tennessee for 18 plus years at KrebsKubota.com. So Zach, we're going to have a big conversation about Treylon Burks today. We're going to talk about the wide receivers some tomorrow, potentially. And so Treylon Burks, we talked last week, Zach, while you were out, when he spoke to the media about he can breathe, right? He stayed in Nashville. He worked out in the area to make sure that his allergies and all of the asthma situation was taken care of so he can be reliable for this team throughout the summer and also into the season, because there is a lot on his shoulders to help take this offense to the next level. And so, Zach, we'll start by showing a comp of every rep that Treylon Burks took in individual periods at practice on Tuesday. And just so you guys know, the media can only take video of individual period and stretch. And so the wide receivers did a few drills, and these were all the reps that Burks took on Tuesday, starting with the ladders in the helmet there. Derrick Henry's helmet was loaned to the receivers there, and Rob Moore with his boxing glove. And then the shoot drill, where Burks, I think, looks quicker, more explosive. And the last one here was the cone box drill, and the grass was not doing the Titans receivers really any favors on Tuesday in that particular drill. But he says he's down a few pounds. He looks more explosive. Zach, any takeaways from seeing, 22 seconds of Treylon Burks in individual drills? Again, that's every rep that he did when I was eligible to record my video. So that's it. 22 seconds of Treylon Burks.
He looks like he has grown, like grown as a person, grown as a man, grown as a football player. Like from year one, he's in his growing stage. Like, I'm not going to grow that much. I'm 35, about to be 36. You're going to see a huge difference.
Hey, don't cut yourself short.
Well, I'll just tell you the damn truth, right? But when you're an NFL football player and you're in your young 20s, you're going to grow, and I think you can see that. I see the quickness. You see that it's like a snap, right? And we saw this with AJ Brown. I felt like a big year 1 to year 2 jump in what he was able to do. The confidence is there. When you're a rookie,
but AJ did have 1,000 yards his rookie season.
But physically, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what he looked like from year 1 to year 2 physically, and how he practiced. And how you practice is key. I've seen a ton of football players go through the Titans organization over the last 10 years, and the jump from year 1 to year 2 in any position, you can see it is visible, because they're not looking around kind of on eggshells, making sure Vrabel's not yelling at them. They know all eyes are on them. Will Levis will go through this through training camp, right? Like he's just going through this now. Is like, you got to make sure that your practice is different than when you were in Kentucky. Your practice is different than when you were in Arkansas. And we know what Treylon Burks struggled with last year during OTAs, with the asthma and the breathing and sitting out reps and all of that. This year, you could just tell a physical difference. Now, will that translate? Here, I think, is a bigger difference. The pressure that is on Treylon Burks this year has now notched up. It's ratcheted up. Mm-hmm. And it's not only just because of Treylon Burks. It's because of the Tennessee Titans and what they did and did not do for Treylon Burks. So that pressure is increasing. But I think where I was pleased and I was optimistic in looking and watching Treylon Burks in these highlights is that he looks different from his rookie year to where he is now. And that's a positive. You have to look differently. So I think Titans fans should be pleased with these videos and what they're seeing from Treylon Burks in a very small sample set, but he's taking another step, which is good.
Yeah, the shoot drill is the one that made him need the inhaler a year ago, right? And so there's a lot of things that went horribly wrong in May, June, and July of his rookie offseason. And so Treylon Burks was asked about that and about what he's learned from that rookie experience overall. And this was from last week when Burks talked to the Titans media.
Things different for you this year as far as wanting the young guys to kind of follow your lead and set an example?
I would just say, me being the person that I am, just helping them not make the mistakes that I made, especially coming into camp, and just being there for them, because I know how it is being a rookie, and just helping them out any way that I can. So.
Looking back, I mean, how hard was that last year? Everything you went through.
I would say every rookie will tell you that it's hard, but you just gotta find your way, and once you find that way, just stay consistent and just keep getting better and better.
Is your goal to establish yourself as wide receiver 1 on this roster?
No, sir. I would just say my goal is to make plays for the team, be where I'm supposed to be, and be a great teammate.
And if he makes those plays, then he will probably end up being wide receiver one. It's just a question that players are never going to answer that question the way the media
I disagree. So I liked – that was the first time I heard that clip because I was out last week.
Yep.
You could even tell he's speaking with a little bit more of his chest. Treylon Burks was a shy little puppy dog last year because I think that was personality driven. That was also because he was a rookie. That was also because he came on kind of a bad foot where he admitted that he made a mistake, which I think was big. Like, these are all positive things. He's talking with his chest. That's what I hate.
There's just so much more.
When shy people, like, say it with your chest, especially if that's what you're chosen to do. Now, I would have answered differently to Terry McCormick's question, which I think was a very good question. And he chose the route that he did. But yeah, that is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get better every single day to be wide receiver number one. So everybody can be better on this team. So Derrick Henry, so I can help Ryan Tannehill, so I can help our offensive line and Chig and all of the other wide receivers on the field every single play, every single day. That would have been my answer. Now, he didn't go that route, and that's his prerogative.
To me, that is a Mike Vrabel coached player saying, I'm not worried about labels.
He can say whatever the hell he wants, Austin. It's not coached. He can say whatever he wants.
I feel like Treylon Burks was doing, and everything Treylon Burks has really said into a microphone, there has been influence from the Titans coaching staff on it. And you can tell.
Why?
Why? Because of what happened last summer.
Right. So he's influenced, but he was not coached to say that. He could have said what I said if you really wanted to say it.
Yeah, but again, I
wouldn't have gotten in trouble for it.
Right. But again, overall, Karen says that Burks looks much more confident at the podium. Orlando says he's gotten more comfortable. I think that confident, comfortable were the two words that I felt watching Burks there. But that, again, wide receiver one label, all these other things aside, Zach, let's get to this question for the audience here. What's the number one thing Treylon Burks needs to improve upon this season besides staying healthy? Because health is always up in the air for really every player, and we all know that guys need to stay healthy. But what is the number one thing that Treylon Burks needs to improve upon this season besides staying healthy? But Zach, you can talk about health coverage. One is Farm Bureau Health Plans.
Yeah, and that is fbhp.com/A to Z, 200 plus locations across the state of Tennessee. Plan on them for health, dental, and vision. They give you dental incentives, vision incentives. I get contact lens allowance, which is great because I've been wearing contact lenses since I was in 7th grade and I couldn't see the board. Now I can see clear that Farm Bureau Health Plans is the best plan for me. It can be the best plan for you as well. All you have to do is get a quote, and it could be you individually or you and your wife and kids, your children, your family. If whatever it is, you can do that. And that's the best part. And all you have to do is go through a health assessment. They give you a quote and you make the decision. There's no extreme pressure that you have to do this. That's the best part about Farm Bureau Health Plans, that they benefit you in ways that you can never imagine, but ultimately it's your decision. I made that decision. I'm glad that I made that decision. I made that decision again this year to run it back. And so that was because of the coverage they provided me. Log on to fbhp.com/A to Z and get your quote today.
All right. I logged on to BetMGM yesterday on a Wednesday and got a $25 bonus bet for no reason other than it being Wednesday. I'm going to use it tonight when the NBA playoffs are back in action. But you can also use all summer long Major League Baseball one-game parlay insurance on the BetMGM app. That is a one-game parlay in any Major League Baseball game, any day of the week, all summer long, of 4 legs or more, and you get up to $25 back in bonus bets if that one-game parlay misses by just 1 leg. So, Zach, we're asking the audience on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch this morning, what's the number one thing Treylon Burks needs to improve upon this season besides staying healthy? Here are the clips once again from Treylon Burks at OTAs on Tuesday. And I'll get to the comments here in a second. And besides staying healthy, what's the one thing to improve upon that can help him take the Titans offense to the next level as his career goes in year number 2? So a lot of good comments. I'm trying to scroll to the top. Sean just says 1,000 yard season loading. Demario
So
just says
let's stop
health is
there.
the whole
Let's
team.
stop there,
Okay.
and you can then start reading again.
Okay.
The title of the show is Treylon Burks' next step is crystal clear. That Sean King, I think, hits the nail on the head. It's not becoming a 2,000-yard wide receiver and becoming Randy Moss or Mike Evans or catching 20 touchdowns. It's not that. I think in its simplest form, Sean King is correct. He has to have 1,000 yards in year 2, no matter what the outcome of the season is. That tells me that he can play in this league. He can play at a level. Now, he gets the benefit of an extra game, right? It's not the same 1,000-yard season that Chris Carter was doing years ago or Keyshawn Johnson was. This is a new league and a new environment with more games. So 1,000 yards means less to me, and it should mean less to everybody else. But 1,000 yards still means something,
Sure.
especially for a run-first football team and a year 2 wide receiver that was drafted in the first round after they traded away a superstar.
Yeah, no doubt about that. All right, going through some more comments, and we'll get. I have I want to ask you, Zach, something and your thoughts on what Sam and I talked about last week, but we'll get through all of these comments first. Trilogy says the route tree is something he needs to improve upon. There's a lot of good answers. Guy says maintaining control of the ball, which, as you saw real quick in this first clip, you see helmet there and punching glove, boxing glove, a ball comes loose, right? So yeah, maintaining.
That's what it's for, though, right?
Yeah, that's the
practice.
drill. Like literally, you're focusing on defender on your left and then a defender on your right. Peanut Tillman comes out of retirement, knocks that sucker out, and what happens? Now
All while,
yeah.
look at his feet.
Yeah,
All
brilliant,
while
right?
not messing the ladder up.
Yes, and Kyle Phillips, for the record, completely torched and messed the ladder up right after Treylon Burks fumbled that. Maybe we'll talk about that more tomorrow. All right, so more of these comments. Jonathan goes with route running and getting open. Steven says endurance. And then other Stephen King comes in with got to find that dog in him. Chandler says be more consistent. John says availability, which kind of goes into the staying healthy side of things that we want to really kind of remove from the conversation. Eric says being in the right spot. Sin City Titan says separation, which ironically, and David follows it up with getting better separation. If you want to go look at analytics, Treylon Burks actually ranked pretty high in gaining separation down the field on his routes. Eddie says, be Treylon Burks and not worry about being AJ. I think that's a good comment. Reginald says dominance, getting free from double coverage from Jason. Tighten up says the route tree and catching in traffic. Bort going with more advanced route tree because he's going to have to do everything for the room. Dre the Barber says separation will be a 1,200-yard guy. Wright says run block for Vrabel, getting open from Justin. A lot of route trees. Brad be himself. Orlando says do his job. Ken says ball security. Mr. Jones comes in with breathing, holes in the coverage, a lot of route running coming in and separation. Run after the catch is coming in from Page. All right, Zach, what is your one thing that Treylon Burks must improve upon in year 2 outside of just staying healthy?
Yeah, and there's a lot to unpack because of the situation he's in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll give you an example. If they would have traded for DeAndre, or they could still, but if they trade for DeAndre Hopkins, Treylon Burks' role is different. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, a little slightly.
Not slightly. Greatly.
Well,
if DeAndre Hopkins walks into that wide receiver room, Treylon Burks' job changes and changes on all fronts. The pressure changes. The ability changes. I think that the playbook changes. The targets change. All of that change. Now, that's a pipe dream. That hasn't happened, and I don't know if it will. But that's not the case. And so I actually go with a couple, and some people have it. Stephen King, I think, brought it up. Titans Kyle brought it up. It is D-O-G. It's dog. I have got to see Treylon Burks become that dude. I have to see him just with some emotion. Honestly, look at the film that we just showed. you could see physically and mentally upset that he fumbled this football.
Oh, and I had to remove the audio because the rap music would snipe us from Facebook. But there was the noises that he let out as he was losing control of the ball were not very pleased noises.
I need to see some emotion, some physical and mental emotion exude out of number 16. When I'm pissed, I'm pissed. When I'm really happy, I'm happy. Treylon Burks needs to exude that emotion of want and drive. I believe that Treylon Burks wants to and feels like he should be wide receiver number 1. Now, he didn't tell us that in the clip, but I believe that that is an underlying thing. I got to see the dog. And it doesn't have to be the same way that A.J. Brown showed us that, because really, truly, Kenny Britt was a beast in himself. He was a weird cat. He was different. And then he got hurt against the Broncos.
Yeah.
Kind of derailed his obvious Titans career, maybe his full career. He had a little bit with the Rams.
He made some other stupid decisions.
Kendall
like
Wright was not that type of guy. Justin Gage was not that type of guy. Even Randy Moss at the end of his career was not that type of guy because of the situation he was thrown in. If you go through all of the wide receivers, Dorial Green Beckham was not that type of guy. Justin Hunter was not even close to that type of guy. A.J. Brown was. And A.J. Brown was the best thing that the Titans have drafted as far as talent at the wide receiver position. We all know that they traded him away stupidly, ignorantly. And now that general manager is no longer have a job. Now a new cast of characters have been drafted. Now they are a cast of characters, which we'll probably talk about tomorrow. But Treylon Burks is wide receiver number 1, whether you won't like it or not. I've got to see that dog, that leader, that alpha in him, because I believe that the room needs it.
I will say, I agree, as long as it's real. As long as it's authentic, and also as long as it's controlled, because you don't want anybody. And I saw some comments that I liked was, what does Treylon Burks have to do is be himself and not worry about being AJ. I agree with that. It's don't fake it if that's not you. And do you need to have some aspects of being the alpha dominant guy at the position? Yes, that position, I think, wide receiver, I think cornerback, and some of those other guys, edge rusher to an extent. Those are positions where you have to have that mentality to be able to separate yourself from the rest of the peers at that position, but not if it's not truly authentic.
But I think Treylon Burks, we saw that. Remember the Packers game, his best game? After he made some big plays, you saw some emotion throughout the course of last year. That's why I'm wanting more of that. I'm not asking him to fake it. Nobody should fake anything.
Yeah. But and also, can you control it? Because if you want somebody to play with that emotion, you don't want them to lose control of the emotion, like Taylor Lewan did early in his career. Like, I think Lewan's edge early in his career is what made him have a high ceiling of a left tackle, but it also got him in trouble with 15-yard penalties and having a late hit inside the 5-yard line against the Raiders in 2016 that cost them field goal range to try to win the damn game, right? Like, so don't do stupid stuff because you're being too emotional. Control it and use that emotion and fire to make yourself better and not press too much, right? I think those two things are, is that mentality authentic for Treylon Burks, and can he bottle it and direct it in a productive way?
I also think it comes with experience and success. You know that you're that guy when you start making that guy type plays. And we saw a smidgen, a tiny sample size of that yet last year. I think that was a product of lack of availability because of injury. I think it was offense, Todd Downing, like how they finished, quarterback play or lack thereof at the end of the season. Like, all of those were factors and probably why we didn't see as much of that. But I did see a hint of it that I think, like I said, should give Titans fans optimism
Yes.
that 16 can be that guy.
And it's a easy thing to do to show that hype emotion after you just smoke somebody down the sideline for a 50-yard catch against Green Bay, right? Like that's
Well,
where
you got
it's
to be
easy.
able to do that first, right?
Yeah,
Some
for
players
sure.
can't do that.
No doubt. And we've seen it. Again, we've seen the slivers. We've seen the glimpses of Treylon Burks being that dude, like you're saying. All right, I see a comment in the chat that I think is very interesting about Treylon Burks, and also I'll answer the question. Going through more of your comments, what's the one thing Treylon Burks needs to improve upon this season besides staying healthy? More of your comments and my answer here in a second. But speaking of staying healthy, that's hard to do in life. Sometimes, Zach, as you mentioned, you're 35 years old. You are who you are for the most part. And as you get older, you get hurt, right? You get banged up. You hurt your shoulder. Something else starts to ache. My foot became a problem last summer, and I went to the Bone and Joint Institute, and they helped me learn how to go through different methods of healing and prevention for my foot that might be a lingering deal for my life. But the Bone and Joint Institute and Dr. Jeff Watson was able to help me out and manage that injury. And now I'm pain-free with my foot. And that's all because I went and saw him last summer at the Bone and Joint Institute, but I waited too long. I just navigated through a month of foot pain for no reason. So go check them out. Their website, super easy. They've got all the experts right there in Franklin, Tennessee, boneandjointtn.org.
A to Z Sports, we are powered by BetMGM. Download the app today. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports. Use that bonus code when you sign up and you're a new user, because you will get up to $1,000 in bonus bets if your first bet misses. So you bet in your first bet, you bet $500, you get $500 in bonus bets. If it misses, for new users, use that bonus code ATOZ Sports.
All right, so going through what's one thing Treylon Burks needs to improve upon most besides staying healthy. Dre the Barber gives a super chat here. He says, I cut a guy's hair that grew up in the same hometown as Burks, played high school ball, and they still talk regularly. It's a crapshoot, but the guy getting his hair cut said that Burks is fired up. Just saying. And I do think Treylon Burks is fired up, and he should be, because he's got a massive opportunity
to make a lot of money and to become a name in this league, to live his dream, his passion. Like, all of these things are the reason why, you are judged in the NFL harshly, but you are also judged more so in the first 3 years of the league, right? When you enter the league, people form an opinion. Year two's big for Treylon Burks.
It is, because there are targets to be had. There are targets that are up in the air that anybody on the Titans roster can go claim. Whether it's Josh Wiley, Chikakonkwo, Kyle Phillips, Mason Kinsey. If I'm Mason Kinsey, listen, no, this is not. But if I'm anybody on that offense saying, look, this is my opportunity to go carve out my role and earn that target share, because there's nobody that says that is like, you have to get this guy the football 5 times a game or throw to him at least 8, like we were trying to tell them to do with AJ. But again, Zach, I think my answer to our question, the number one thing that Burks has to improve upon this season is just being consistent. I know that's such a bland answer, but that's it though. We've seen him go out there and be able to make a big play, but you have to be the same guy every day. And so being consistent and being consistently on, being consistently a game, being consistently having a good day, and being consistent with how you respond to having a drop, to missing an assignment, and being consistent with being the number one dude in that group, because they're all looking at you. Look at the receiver group. I think the second highest drafted dude in that group is Chris Moore as a 4th round receiver. Kyle Phillips, 5th round receiver, and a bunch of other guys who are undrafted, and Racing McMath in the 6th round. So nobody else has been drafted before Saturday in the NFL draft. So everybody's looking at Treylon Burks and saying he's the guy. And if he isn't consistent, then I'm going to be better than the 1st round draft pick. So he has to show an example of being consistent and being on his game every day, whether it's May 23rd at OTAs or whether it's, next week at OTAs or in training camp or week 1 of the season. Treylon Burks has to be on at all times when he's wearing the Titans jersey.
Well, and that's really what Tom Brady expressed. If you saw that clip from Michael Rubin and their whole sit down with Will Levis and Bryce Young, that's what Brady was telling all of these young quarterbacks is if you just put your head down and work, no matter what, anything comes at you, then you'll get two things. You'll get results, right? Because you're working hard, and you won't get distracted, right? And I don't think that Treylon Burks is the type of guy to get distracted, but I do think that he has more pressure on him than most young wide receivers in this league because of his situation. It's just, and unfortunately at this juncture, it's because the franchise put him in that spot. They didn't draft anybody. Look, I'm going to hold off on a take because I don't know what your take is for this next segment. Yeah. So I don't know if it's similar, and I don't want to take it or agree with it or disagree with it because I don't know what yours is. But I do, as we were kind of talking through this conversation, it did make me realize one thing when I looked at all of the pressures that Treylon Burks has on him.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, he's got to be in that threshold of receivers who can go out and do it every game because the Titans need somebody that can do that. And again, I say consistency as a blanket answer, but the details of not having a day where he is unreliable for this team because the Titans can afford him to.
So I'd ask you this real quick. How much is actually that on him? Because you have injury, right, that we kind of set aside. You also have scheme, which they're a running football team. Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill are still the quarterback and the running back, respectively. That's not going to change. The style is not going to change all of that much. Tim Kelly is now a new play caller, but we saw times, and he's new, right? I don't want to completely compare him to Downing, but we saw times that probably you could say it's not necessarily Treylon Burks' fault that he had 2 targets and 14 yards in the game.
No, but it's taking advantage of him. It's here's an example. It's Thursday night, right before New Year's, and the Titans are hosting the Dallas Cowboys. It's 3rd and 5 in the first quarter, and Josh Dobbs, who's been in the building for 8 days, throws a pass that hits Burks right above his visor, and it goes through his hands, and incomplete. Titans punt. That. You're open. They threw you the ball. They schemed you open. You executed the route, but you let down your quarterback. You have to catch that pass. Treylon Burks got 8 targets against the Cowboys in that game with Josh Dobbs. He caught 4 of them. That was one drop. I can't remember the other 3 that didn't end in completions. And so I don't know if that's on Burks or if it was inaccurate or whatever the situation.
One was inaccurate because I remember.
Yeah. But again, like it's being that guy. It's being what Robert Woods wasn't. Like Robert Woods did not have any margin for error last year, and he had a lot of errors. It was
because he was traded and he was paid very well, right? Like, and he was supposed to be the leader. It wasn't supposed to be the rookies. It wasn't supposed to be Chig or Kyle Phillips or Treylon Burks or even NWI at that. It was supposed to be Robert Woods was supposed to be the most stable part of this football team besides Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill, and that Tannehill was injured. But Robert Woods became a shell of that. He was not that. And that's why he's criticized, and ultimately that's why he's no longer on the roster.
Yeah, and I see real quick, Charles says that was one pass, Austin. Like it was one pass, but that's kind of what I'm talking about. It's the opportunity for Treylon Burks to make a play to help his team, because that game when that happened, it was still within reach. The Titans, if I remember, they had an opportunity it was a 1-score game, and Treylon Burks could have made that play, and who knows how the game would have ended up, and maybe Josh Dobbs could have gotten something. And so Robert Woods is another example that Burks can look at and say, I can't do that. I can't fall down on 3rd down. I can't let a pass go through my hands in a key moment because I'm the guy that has to be the leader.
I want to say one thing before we move forward. And Sawyer, and he's got a Jags logo, but he's been watching the show, so I value him, and I've seen his comments through several times over the last several weeks. He says Burks just seems like a one-trick pony. I think initially when Burks entered the league, I think I agreed with Sawyer. I thought his one trick was go deep, go over a cornerback, catch a deep ball, go down. That's a gain of 47 yards, right? That's a huge, that's probably one of the reasons why they drafted him. But I think as I saw him more last year, I think he's got more tricks in the bag. I think Tim Kelly and Treylon Burks and Ryan Tannehill have to pull those out of him. But I don't think that he is a one-trick pony anymore. I think he's got a couple of tricks.
I would agree. And by the way, that drop that I'm talking about was the opening drive of the third quarter. The Titans were trailing the Cowboys 10-6 and had an opportunity to get on a drive to go take the lead. And Burks dropped it, Titans punt, Cowboys score touchdown 17-6. The game is basically over, right? So I mean, that's how interesting and how much weight was on a play like that. But Zach, I do want to get to my take about this because I was watching Titans practice on Tuesday. And I was sitting there and I focused on the wide receivers and their individual drills. I was watching Treylon Burks like a hawk. I was trying to go through everything. And I just came away with a feeling about Burks. And I want to know if you guys are going to buy or sell my opinion on this. But Zach, first, you can talk about buying or selling your car at Wilson County Hyundai. How about that?
Yeah, you absolutely can. You can buy or sell at Wilson County Hyundai. You can look online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com and check out their inventory. You can visit Wilson County Hyundai with a quick trip down I-40 exit 236. Austin and I have been there numerous times. We've test-driven vehicles. You can test drive a Palisade, which is a full-size SUV. Great family car, all the bells and whistles at a great price. Also, the Sonata four-door sedan, which I absolutely love. They've got the Santa Fe and Tucson, which is a smaller SUV, but fuel efficient, and the Ioniq, which is battery powered. So your perfect make and model is right around the corner at wilsoncountyhyundai.com.
All right, A to Z Sports also with BetMGM. Take advantage of their Major League Baseball one-game parlay insurance. That's a feature you can opt into the BetMGM app and take advantage of every day with Major League Baseball this summer. And so that's a Major League Baseball one-game parlay of 4 legs or more. And if you miss that, you only buy only one leg, you can get up to $25 back in bonus bets. That's with BetMGM's Major League Baseball one-game parlay. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older, Tennessee only. New and existing customer offer. All promotions, subject to qualification, and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued to knowledgeable bonus bets. Bonus bets expire 7 days. And for problem game support, call Tennessee Redline 800-889-9789. So Zach, watching Titans practice yesterday or Tuesday, I was watching Treylon Burks go through all of these drills. This was the first individual drill he did. He loses control of the ball. He comes back, does a couple shoot reps, and then something happened that I'm like, okay. And Treylon Burks does this cone square drill. He does it this direction. All the receivers go through it. They do it that direction. Then Mason Kinsey starts it off, and they go the other way. Treylon Burks was third in order. It was Kinsey, NWI, Burks for everything. And Treylon Burks skipped that second version of that drill. He missed the last rep. And you're just standing there. And then they moved on to another period. And it made me think, I'm like, he's just not a drills guy. Treylon Burks, and here's my take. I want to know if you guys buy or sell it. Treylon Burks is never going to gain anybody's confidence until he shows it consistently in games. He is always going to leave you wanting more on the practice field, whether it's training camp, OTAs, anything, because he's not a drills guy. And I started like talking to some other media members. I was like, did you play basketball growing up? Like basketball practice was just brutal. And it was a drills type of situation, but it gained you conditioning and mentality to fight through tough stuff. And I was like, I can tell Treylon Burks probably didn't play basketball, probably didn't do basketball practice. He's just not a drills guy. And so you're always going to walk away from watching Treylon Burks at practice and saying, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he's got enough to completely get to be the number one guy until he can do it, until you know for a fact with proof of concept that we've been talking about on the show for the last couple of weeks in games, you're always going to say, yeah, there's just something about it that I don't know if Treylon Burks is going to be able to strain through an entire game because he doesn't strain through a practice because he's not a drills guy. There's always going to be that doubt of Treylon Burks. So do you buy or sell that?
So I think initially I was buying it because I think there's probably something to that. I still think that there is something to this. But here's why I'm selling it. Don't we think that about the entire damn team? Like what you just said, let's take Treylon Burks out of it. We think about that, about the team. We question the team.
Sure.
Can they do it? They've got to prove it. Are the wide receivers any good after Burks or Burks? We don't know. Is Chig the real deal? Is Tannehill, can he actually go over the hump? Prove it. Caleb Farley's the same way. I mean, I feel like we think about what you just said in a
here's
nutshell
what I'll say. Here's what
about
I'll say.
the team.
But Chigakonkwo shows it in practice. And again, like I can walk away. Look, at the end of the day, yes, every player in the league has to prove it on the field.
But especially the Titans. I'm not talking about every player on the field. I'm talking about the Titans and how we view this team, I think is a complete encompassing. It encompasses what you just said.
I compare Treylon Burks' practice habits and practice situation a little bit like Malik. Both of those guys are always going to be gamers and not practice guys. But the difference is we saw AJ come in and he was a practice guy and a gamer, right? And so like you felt confident in watching AJ in training camp practices that it was going to translate.
But Burks made some big plays last year in practice. You remember the one-handed grab? He got injured. I get it.
Yep. And there you go. And what happened? Then again, it's like Treylon Burks. And I'm not again, I'm trying to be careful because I don't want to like paint a terrible like reputation or paint him as lazy. I don't know if he's lazy. This could be part of the asthma plan. But Treylon Burks goes through practice like Julio Jones. Like Julio Jones at age 30.
Yeah,
because,
there's a difference.
No,
right?
like Julio earned that, right? Delaney Walker earned the opportunity to skip a rep in practice. But he busted his ass in practice to then use it on the field and then earned the ability to skip a rep in practice. Treylon Burks is going into year 2 where he's had 400 yards of receiving and only 1 touchdown and made some nice plays. Absolutely. But there's still like, again, my whole point is we're going to watch Treylon Burks. He's going to make good plays. He's going to make catches in practice and team drills and all this kind of stuff. But we're still not going to feel any confidence about him until we see it in the games.
Okay. I'm selling this on May 25th. I think that you could have a point on September 1st, right? We've got to get a month in August to see if Burks if this continues. Because I understand your notion, but I need 4 weeks to solidify if I'm buying or selling but that's what we're looking for.
Yeah. And so like, again, like I'm not saying I want Treylon Burks to be Mason Kinsey at practice where he's first in line for every drill. I don't care about who's first in line for every drill, but do I care that the players do the drills and not skip reps? Yeah, I do.
So
especially with Burks, because look, we talked all last week. Treylon Burks was like, I can breathe. This is why I stayed here. This is why I've been training. And then the first time the media is out there, skips a rep. And you're like, well, okay. And then on top of, letting the ball fumble during the ladder drill. And you're just like, he's always going to be a guy who looks and is going to make you question when you watch him in practice until he does it in games over and over and over and over.
Well, and I don't want to sit here year after year wanting him to be a dog, right? Wanting him to be an alpha. We're going to have to figure out if he has that or if he doesn't, because that's what I've learned in life. Some people, they just don't have it in them. And you can try to force it. You just can't do it. And maybe it's a drill thing. Maybe it is, talk about lack of leadership. I don't think, like, Eli Manning is a great example, right? That he was not that, screamer, yeller, but he led. I do believe, and this is where I maybe think we're different. I do read into, if you're first in line in practice in all of the drills, that tells me something. It doesn't tell me everything, but it tells me something. If I'm the coach, I want Treylon Burks to be first in every mother effing drill that we do, because they don't have the wide receiver room with the talent. Would you agree that Treylon Burks is the most talented wide receiver in the wide receiver room?
Yeah.
Then he needs to be the guy. He needs to be number one in all the drills. He needs to be show by example. He needs, because Mason Kinsey and Kyle Phillips don't have, Chris Moore do not have the attributes. But if they can see a guy first do something that they can't do, they can strive to try to do it. That's if I was a coach, that is my mentality. And I tell them that.
Yeah, I have a reaction to that I want to get into in a couple comments as well on it. So about Mason Kinsey, about Treylon Burks, and look, again, this is practice, but I do think there is a correlation in how can it translate onto the field. Real quick, let me tell you guys about our new friends at Krebs Kubota. They are Middle Tennessee's preferred equipment dealer. I went and hung out with our guys Matt and Jamie in Murfreesboro a couple weeks ago to see all the customer service that they are talking about, because they strive to be elite in customer service. And I saw it firsthand with the relationships they build with their customers, and they truly do care about what you have going on. And I learned that it's vital. It is absolutely vital for you to have a good relationship with your equipment provider, because things break because you're doing some interesting type projects with a lot of power, a lot of force and on the earth around your property. And you have to have the best equipment in the game, and that's Kubota, and you have to have the best customer service and relationships and service, and that is Krebs Kubota. They've been serving Middle Tennessee for over 18 years with 3 locations, Columbia, Franklin, and Murfreesboro. Online, KrebsKubota.com.
A to Z Sports, we are powered by BetMGM. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports, and they're hooking you up for new users. Get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. That's ATOZ Sports. That's BetMGM. Download the app in your Apple or Android app store today.
All right, so my take of buy or sell is that Treylon Burks is never going to be somebody we feel confident about by watching him practice. He has to prove it in the games over and over, because he is not a practice player. He took a rep off in individual drills. And
September 1st, let's reassess.
Yeah,
it.
look, but now it's monitoring the plan and if Burks continues to do this. And so, David says, stop putting all this pressure on Treylon Burks. What about Chigger, Kyle Phillips? We'll talk about Kyle Phillips probably some tomorrow when we have a bigger conversation about the wide receivers. But Treylon Burks needs to have the pressure on him, because he was the first round pick and is the most talented guy to take this group to the next level. Now, you said, Zach, you want Burks to be number one in all these drills. Yeah, that would be ideal for me too. And I just don't.
Why isn't he?
I don't think Mason Kinsey is going to give that up. Because you look at
what did you just say?
Is Mason Kinsey, again, that's the type of person that Kinsey is that he is going to sprint to the head of the line every time and make sure that he beats out Treylon Burks.
You know what? Treylon Burks better sprint faster. You think I give a damn if Mason Kinsey is not going to give that up? I'm not going to allow Mason Kinsey to want or be able to want to not give that up. I'm going to beat his ass to the front of the line every damn time. Now you're getting me, but don't ever. I'm not talking to you, but don't ever tell me that Mason Kinsey's not willing to give that up. That's just like saying that A.J. Brown didn't deserve 11. Well, that guy got cut because he got his number. Treylon Burks, if he wants to be number one, he could be number one in every drill.
Zach, that wasn't a comment about Burks. That was a comment about Kinsey.
It's a comment about both.
Okay. And look, Treylon Burks, I think this comment, in my opinion, that I gathered and put together all of last year and the first OTA of seeing the new and improved Treylon Burks, and he took a rep off in individual drills. I was like, you know what? It's just like, why I go back to the basketball thing, because that's what I know, but like, why do basketball players kill their legs by running up and down and doing, line touches and all these different drills and just conditioning things, and then they go shoot? because if you can't shoot with dead legs, then you can't shoot in the fourth quarter. If Treylon Burks can't get through an OTA practice or a training camp practice, then what's going to happen on 3rd and 8 in the fourth quarter down 4? Like it's
what I
you've
would
got
say,
to put yourself through this stuff.
I think that's why I say I think the notion is validated from you currently. September 1st, I think we really have to diagnose what it is. We have got to at least give Treylon Burks an opportunity to mature and maturate over the next several months to then form this opinion. I don't hate it. I think we need to give him some time.
Yeah, and for sure. I just don't expect it to be honest.
And that's also fair,
because like this was I can breathe. I'm faster, which he looks faster. And look, I'll say this: Treylon Burks. I can only say so much of what happened after the individual period, but Treylon Burks was involved with pretty heavily in the passing game during 7-on-7s and 11-on-11s from OTA. So like he was in there and active and going through and catching passes from Tannehill and running routes against defense. And he was out there doing everything. I just don't know. He's not a drills guy. And so how does that affect him late in games and crunch situations? Jonah asked, was AJ always first in the drills? Not really. AJ, I'm trying to remember who all was a part of that group that was.
Well, you had Corey Davis, who was older than him, was drafted higher than him, that had been in practice more. Corey Davis, I do remember, was at that point in time, before he left to go to the Jets, he was usually that number one guy in line. I think at times Julio Jones was when he first showed up.
Julio was typically towards the end.
The practice that I saw, I remember distinctly seeing that.
The first time Julio was there, he was first.
That's probably why. That's what I remember.
Mm-hmm.
Again, and this is not everything. I'm not sitting here staking, but I do think it is a representation of who you are. Like, I'm going to be first. If Mason Kinsey wants to say I can't, I'm going to show Mason Kinsey what it's all about.
I'm with you. I'm trying to
and that's just that is me as a personality, but that's not everybody. I understand that. Again, I give the Eli Manning as a great example of, we question like his demeanor and all of that stuff. And he was a great leader. Everybody that played with Eli, 2 Super Bowls, unbelievable at times, threw a lot of interceptions at times, but a Hall of Fame quarterback led by example. But I think the hard part is, and this is probably what we're going to talk about more tomorrow, is you're looking around the room and we're talking about Mason Kinsey. We should not be talking about Mason Kinsey.
Sure. And I think where I'm at is
there's the Titans problem. Why the hell are we bringing up Mason Kinsey?
Yeah, I just went and scrolled through some old training camp practice videos. There's always receivers like Chester Rogers, Mason Kinsey, Corey Davis to an extent, and NWI that are always putting themselves so much higher in the drill lines just because they're trying to prove themselves. And so I think there's
right, but alpha wide receiver 1 drafted in the first round after you traded away a all-star wide receiver and replaced him with Treylon Burks. Treylon Burks, if he wanted it, he could. That's my point.
Yeah, I agree. And again, that's part of my take. It's not going to happen. I just don't think he's not a drills guy. He's not a practice guy. And until he does it consistently in games, you're always going to be questioning, is Treylon Burks is he going to be a dog? Is he going to be wide receiver 1? Because he's not going to prove it to you until he does it on Sundays in jerseys.
Well, and Andre brings up, he agrees with me. He says he wants Burks to grab the situation by the throat. This is his chance to show he wants to carry the group. I think he's a number 2, and that's fair opinion from Andre. I'm not at that point yet. I have to see more. I have to see more practice. I have to see more drills. You've got to see more preseason. You've got to see more regular season. You got to see more Tim Kelly philosophy, more throws, more opportunity. So I'm not there. I still, right now, believe that Treylon Burks can be a number 1 wide receiver for an extended amount of time.
I agree with that. I do think all of this stuff aside, I do think he can become it. But
because he has the makeup. Like,
yes,
I mean, there's a reason why you're drafted in the first round. He has the size, he has the speed, he has the hands, he has the break tackle ability. He has, in college, he was playing against superior competition in the SEC. We saw him make plays last year at times. So he has it. It's not that question. It is, can he do it, going back to your point, consistently,
right,
and in a dog fashion?
All right, Zach, time for the Magic Bucket. It's been a while since we've been on the Magic Bucket at the same time. So let's get the Magic Bucket here on a Thursday to wrap up this Thursday show. But first, let me guys tell you about Aura, who can keep you safe online. And if you use our link, aura.com/ATOZ, then you can get a 2-week free trial to make sure that you can get rid of spammers and robocallers and any data brokers that are constantly bothering you by hitting you up from every direction with spam calls, trash emails that you didn't sign up for, or junk mail in your actual mailbox. So click that link I just posted in the chat. That's aura.com/ATOZ, and they can take care of you because they automatically submit you out of those lists and take your information away from the data brokers that profit off of that. Aura found 30 data brokers had my info, and they got rid of my info from 29 of them, and they're still working through it. And they also have a ton of other features in their app to help you out and keep you safe online. So check out our sponsor, Aura, and let them do the hard work and a 2-week free trial by going to our link, aura.com/ATOZ.
BetMGM, download the app today. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports. You got NBA action. What's going to happen between the Celtics and the Heat? You saw a little Stanley Cup last night as the Florida Panthers advanced to the Stanley Cup final. So plenty to bet on, including baseball. Let's get to the Magic Bucket.
All right, Zach, Magic Bucket is here. Last week, I had to chug a beer on Friday's show, and Jack had to make as many animal noises in 30 seconds as he could, which is, I think, that is the best Magic Bucket we have in the bucket currently.
How many did he get?
I want to say 8.
Which is pretty good.
Yeah,
I think I messed up.
Yeah, you threw in like a construction noise, like a jackhammer. Yeah. So I think that is something that we continuously do each time. And people were making fun of my choice of beverage, but it was the high gravity kombucha that I got. And I still had one hanging around from the Super Bowl, and so that's what I did.
Yeah. You can drink kombucha if you want to.
I liked it. It's good. All right, so this is for
kombucha beer. I mean, it has alcohol in it, but like, what's percentage?
It's 5%.
Oh, okay, so that's a beer.
Yeah.
I don't drink kombucha, so I don't know.
I hadn't until last fall, and now it's pretty good.
Man, let's go get away.
Look, hey,
kombucha this weekend.
You can go catch a buzz and take care of your gut all at the same time. All right, this is for you, Zach. All right. Lick your lips at the camera, then blow a kiss and say, "This is for the haters."
This is pretty good.
This is definitely yours because it's like
weird. It's
cut
weird
by scissors really tinily.
So repeat
you mean read it again?
Yeah, I was laughing at it.
Excuse me. Lick your lips at the camera, blow a kiss, then say, "This is for the haters."
This is for the haters.
Oh, God. That's pretty good. Pretty good. All right. Let's see what we got here. Along the same lines, but I have done this before. That was the sexy voice.
Sex noise. I've not done the sex
No, it was
noise
the sexy voice. I want to take you to a seafood dinner and then back to my place. All right, here comes another one. I think I've done this, but it's been like maybe 2 years. Try to juggle 3 pieces of fruit of my choice. Has it been long enough to where I can do that tomorrow morning?
I think that's fair.
Okay. All right. I know what I've got. I've got stocked up fruit from yesterday's shopping trip. So I've got plenty of fruit to pick from.
So I have avocados and tomatoes over there. Would that be considered fruit?
Tomatoes, yes. Avocados, a fruit. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's fruit. I don't think of those as fruit, but they're fruit.
Technically, fruit.
Look, speaking of fruit, I do have to say this. When I was in Costa Rica,
Oh, here we go.
the fruit there, my man, I mean, you talk about pineapples, and the bananas were superb. The bananas are on another level. I bought bananas from a grocery store yesterday. They're trash. And I've been eating bananas from the grocery store for years, but ever since I had Costa Rican fresh bananas,
Yeah, it's over.
it's over. And then here's the last thing I say. One of the best parts about the trip was after we went whitewater rafting, they took us to an organic farm, an organic Costa Rican farm, and they made us fresh organic food, plantains, chicken, rice, and beans. I mean, it was spectacular. And then they made us fresh coffee from like a bag that they harvested, and fresh milk from the cows that they had just milked. It is the singular best cup of coffee that I've ever had in my entire life, along with the bananas. And now coffee doesn't taste as good.
You sound like my brother went to Italy last summer, and he came back and he's like, "Oh, the wine, oh, the pasta, oh, the this," and he's like, "Oh," and it was like, "Okay, we got it, man. You went to Italy."
When you've never tasted anything like that, and you've been eating the same thing for years and years and years, and then you get the highest grade, it kind of blows your mind. It blew my mind. So there's the fruit.
For me, because we went to St. Lucia, the mangoes there, off the tree. Just pick it off the tree and eat it. Beautiful.
Oh, quickly, I do have a update from Borkington. So the fish that has been swimming around Massachusetts got sent back and was damaged. So they had to redo over the last couple of months. They redid this fish, this Cubera snapper that I caught in Cancun, and I got official word. They finally double checked my address. It is on its way. So we're going to find out how big this bad boy is and what it looks like. I don't know where I'm going to put it, but
that is good. I'm glad that that's working its way out. All right, guys. Thanks for watching the show today. Great show. We've got a topic lined up for tomorrow morning to continue to talk about the wide receivers beyond just Treylon Burks. So make sure you check that out. Also, go to our YouTube channel, because we've got a ton of great content still from this week's OTA practice. Just got some info on next week's OTA practice as well. So that's all up on our YouTube channel. So subscribe to that and like the show before you go. There's always way more people watching the show right now than have hit that like button. So please hit that like button. All it does is make our content better for you. And we'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Buck Rising live tonight at 8 o'clock Central. We'll see you on a Friday. Appreciate it as always.
Hit the like. Adios.